Welcome back, fellow deep divers. Ready to plunge into another fascinating topic.
Always excited to explore new ideas. What's on the agenda for today?
Today we're diving into Level Up Your Day by Steve Scott and Rebecca Livermore.
Oh, I've heard good things about that one.
It's packed with practical advice for maximizing your daily routine, focusing on 6 key areas.
6 key areas, you say? Sounds intriguing.
The goal is to help us uncover those hidden gems, those little tweaks we can make to enhance our lives in meaningful ways.
Love that approach. It's not about overhauling our entire lives, but rather making those small but impactful adjustments.
Exactly. What I found particularly refreshing is how the book steers clear of rigid routines.
Right, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
Instead, it guides us towards identifying the crucial 20% of activities in each area that yield 80% of the results.
The Pareto principle in action. It's like a customized optimization strategy tailored to our individual needs and preferences.
I love that analogy. It's about pinpointing those high-impact actions that truly move the needle, not just filling our days with busy work.
Absolutely. It's about working smarter, not harder, by focusing our energy on what truly matters.
Now, I found their exploration of habit psychology particularly captivating, especially their discussion of decision fatigue.
Oh, that's such a crucial concept. We make countless decisions each day, and our mental energy can become depleted as a result, leading to poorer choices later on.
I've definitely felt the effects of that mental drain, especially after a long day of decision-making. Could you elaborate a bit more on decision fatigue for our listeners?
Well, think of a judge presiding over parole hearings. Research has shown that prisoners appearing later in the day were less likely to be granted parole, regardless of the nature of their offenses.
That's fascinating. Why would that be?
It wasn't due to any bias on the part of the judges, but rather the judges' mental energy was depleted from making numerous decisions throughout the day.
Ah, so their ability to make sound judgments was impaired simply due to decision overload.
Precisely. It highlights the importance of being mindful of our decision-making capacity and recognizing when we need to recharge.
It really makes you stop and think about the potential ramifications of every choice we make. Now, is this concept of decision fatigue related to ego depletion, which the authors also discuss?
It is. Ego depletion refers to that feeling of diminished willpower as we resist temptations and exercise self-control throughout the day.
Like a muscle tiring after a workout.
That's a great analogy. It explains why we might succumb to those late-night cravings for sugary treats.
Or why we're more likely to make impulsive decisions when we're mentally exhausted.
Exactly. So the key is to strategically structure our day to mitigate these psychological factors and set ourselves up for success.
That makes sense. What practical steps can we take to avoid falling prey to decision fatigue and ego depletion?
Simplifying choices, tackling crucial tasks when willpower is strongest, and incorporating regular breaks for mental rejuvenation can make a world of difference.
It's about working with, not against, our natural rhythms and limitations. Now, let's delve into sleep, arguably the foundation of a productive day. I'm curious about the book's approach to optimizing our sleep habits.
They emphasize that consistent sleep schedules, even on weekends, are crucial for regulating our internal clocks and achieving deep restorative sleep.
Isn't some degree of spontaneity essential for a fulfilling life? How do we strike that balance between routine and flexibility?
It's about finding what works best for you. Some people thrive on strict routines, while others need more flexibility. The key is to experiment and discover what feels most natural and supportive.
That makes sense. So it's not about adhering to a rigid schedule, but rather finding a rhythm that aligns with our individual needs.
Exactly. Now let's talk about morning routines. They advocate for evening preparation to minimize morning stress.
That's where I often struggle. Mornings tend to be a chaotic scramble for me. I'm eager to hear what the book suggests.
Imagine waking up to a sense of calm and order instead of feeling rushed and overwhelmed. By taking care of those little things the night before, packing lunches, selecting your outfit, gathering any necessary materials.
Right, it's like setting the stage for a smoother morning.
Precisely. They even recommend creating a designated launch pad near your door.
A launch pad, I like the sound of that.
It's a spot to collect everything you'll need for the next day. Your keys, wallet, important documents, ensuring a seamless exit in the morning.
I love that idea. It's such a simple but effective strategy for streamlining those hectic morning moments.
It's about setting yourself up for success before the day even begins. Now, let's not forget about the importance of maintaining energy and focus throughout the day.
That's where I often hit a wall. I tend to experience a midday slump feeling drained and less productive. What strategies does the book offer for combating these energy dips?
They recommend incorporating regular breaks throughout the day, like those suggested by the Pomodoro technique.
I've heard of the Pomodoro technique. Could you give us a quick refresher?
Sure, it involves working in 25-minute intervals, followed by a 5-minute break.
So instead of powering through hours of work, taking those short, intentional breaks can actually help us be more productive.
Exactly. These brief pauses can do wonders to refresh our minds and maintain concentration. And these breaks don't have to be elaborate.
Right. It's not about taking a 2-hour siesta in the middle of the day.
Even just a few minutes of stretching, getting some fresh air, or engaging in a quick mindfulness exercise can significantly boost our energy and focus.
I can see how that could be helpful. I tend to get so absorbed in my work that I forget to take breaks, which often leaves me feeling depleted by the end of the day.
Ah,
I'm definitely going to try incorporating some of these techniques.
I encourage you to. Even small changes can make a big difference.
Does the book recommend any other strategies for renewing energy throughout the day?
Staying adequately hydrated is absolutely crucial. Dehydration can lead to fatigue, headaches, and decreased cognitive function. So keeping a water bottle handy and sipping on it throughout the day is a simple yet effective way to maintain those energy levels.
That's a great reminder. I often forget to drink enough water, especially when I'm engrossed in a task. I'm going to make a conscious effort to stay more hydrated.
And don't underestimate the power of natural light. Spending time outdoors or even just positioning your workspace near a window can provide a natural energy boost.
I've definitely noticed that I feel more energized and alert when I'm exposed to natural light. I'll have to rearrange my workspace to maximize my access to sunlight. Now, beyond sleep and energy management, the book also delves into healthy eating habits, which I have to admit is an area where I often struggle.
I think many people can relate to that. It's easy to fall into unhealthy patterns, especially when we're busy and stressed.
Exactly. I'm curious to hear the book's approach to establishing healthier eating habits.
They emphasize the significance of planning meals in advance to avoid those impulsive, unhealthy choices when hunger strikes.
That makes perfect sense. I've noticed that when I'm hungry and haven't planned ahead, I'm much more likely to grab whatever's convenient, which is often not the healthiest option.
It's all about eliminating those decision points when willpower is low.
It's like setting ourselves up for success before those cravings even hit. Now, what specific tips do they offer for effectively planning meals in advance?
They recommend designating specific days for planning and grocery shopping, treating these activities like important appointments in your calendar.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I often let grocery shopping fall by the wayside until I'm completely out of food.
By scheduling it in advance, you're ensuring that it happens consistently.
I like that. It takes the guesswork out of it.
They also suggest incorporating themed meal nights for variety, which can make meal planning more manageable and even enjoyable.
Themed meal nights. Give me some examples.
Meatless Mondays, Taco Tuesdays, Pasta Wednesdays, you get the idea.
Those are great. It's like adding a bit of structure and fun to the process.
Yeah.
Do they discuss meal prepping as well?
Absolutely. Meal prepping is a fantastic way to streamline your week and ensure you have healthy meals readily available.
I've always wanted to try meal prepping, but it feels a bit daunting.
It doesn't have to be overwhelming. They suggest starting small, perhaps prepping just 1 or 2 meals for the week, and utilizing leftovers is a fantastic way to minimize effort and maximize your time investment.
So, investing a little time upfront for planning and prepping can set us up for a week of healthier eating with less stress and fewer impulsive decisions.
Exactly. It's about making those healthy choices easier and more accessible.
Speaking of healthy choices, let's tackle a common challenge for many: incorporating exercise into a busy schedule.
Ah, yes, the eternal struggle.
I'll be honest, I'm not naturally inclined toward fitness, and finding the time and motivation can be incredibly difficult. I'm interested to hear the book's perspective on this.
They acknowledge those barriers, lack of time, family obligations, weather constraints, and even feeling self-conscious, and offer a compassionate approach.
That's reassuring. I often feel guilty for not being more active, but life just gets in the way sometimes.
They emphasize that it's not about forcing ourselves into a rigid fitness regimen. It's about finding ways to integrate movement into our lives that suit our individual circumstances and preferences.
I appreciate that approach. It feels much more attainable than trying to squeeze in a full gym session every day.
They advocate for incorporating movement throughout the day rather than focusing solely on dedicated workouts.
So it's about those small, consistent actions that add up over time.
Exactly, like taking the stairs instead of the elevator, parking farther away from your destination, or simply getting up and moving around every hour.
Those are great ideas. I'm definitely guilty of always seeking the closest parking spot. Perhaps I can reframe that habit as an opportunity for extra steps. What about during the workday? Are there ways to incorporate movement while at the office?
Absolutely. If you have a sedentary job, set a timer to remind yourself to take brief walking breaks throughout the day. Even just a few minutes of stretching or walking around can make a difference.
I'm starting to see how I can weave movement into my daily routine without having to overhaul my entire schedule. It's about being intentional and finding those little opportunities to move our bodies.
Precisely. Now, let's shift gears to a topic that often feels like a major time drain: managing those routine activities, like chores and errands.
Ugh, those are the bane of my existence. I'm all ears for any tips on streamlining those mundane but necessary tasks.
They advocate for decluttering and organizing to create a more efficient home environment.
That makes sense. When my surroundings are cluttered, my mind feels cluttered too.
Exactly. It's about creating a space that supports clarity and focus. They emphasize the power of tiny habits, like Steve Scott's metal clamshell habit for managing his keys and wallet.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this metal clamshell habit.
Upon entering his home, he automatically places these items in a designated metal clamshell container and hangs his jacket on a hook.
Such a simple yet brilliant idea. It eliminates those frantic moments of searching for lost keys or a misplaced wallet. It's about creating a system that reduces mental clutter and streamlines our daily actions.
Precisely. They also introduced the concept of creating lists to manage household tasks and supplies, inspired by Steve's dad's FSD list.
FSD list. I'm curious, what does FSD stand for?
It stands for food, stuff, and devices.
That's brilliant. I'm always running out of essential items because I forget to add them to my shopping list.
The FSD list provides a comprehensive system for keeping track of everything you need in your home, from food and cleaning supplies to household goods and electronic devices.
I love that. It's like having a master control panel for your entire household.
Exactly. It's about taking the guesswork out of household management and creating a system that works for you.
Now, I'm eager to shift our focus to maximizing productivity in our work lives. I'm always on the lookout for strategies to enhance my work output and achieve that sense of accomplishment. What insights does the book offer in this realm?
They present a wealth of practical advice, ranging from time management techniques to mindset shifts that can help us work more efficiently and effectively. They emphasize the importance of understanding our natural energy rhythms, those internal clocks that govern our energy levels throughout the day.
I've heard about circadian rhythms, but I'm curious to learn how they apply to maximizing productivity at work.
By identifying our peak energy periods and our natural lulls, we can strategically schedule tasks to align with those rhythms.
So it's about working with rather than against our natural energy flow.
Exactly. They suggest keeping a log of our energy levels throughout the day to pinpoint those windows of peak productivity.
That's a great idea. It's like becoming a detective of our own energy patterns.
They also highlight the importance of letting go of outcome attachment, which can be a profound mindset shift.
Outcome attachment. I'm not familiar with that term. Could you elaborate?
It's about detaching from fixating on specific outcomes and instead immersing ourselves in the process of doing the work.
So it's about shifting our focus from the end goal to the journey itself.
Precisely. By releasing the need to control every aspect of our work and surrendering to the flow of the process, we can unlock greater creativity and productivity.
That's a powerful concept. I tend to get so caught up in the need for everything to be perfect, which often leads to procrastination and self-doubt.
Perfectionism can be a double-edged sword.
It can definitely hinder our progress.
The book encourages us to embrace imperfection, viewing mistakes as opportunities for learning and growth, and prioritizing progress over perfection.
I love that. It's about shifting our perspective and focusing on the journey rather than the destination.
Now let's dive into some specific time management techniques for achieving that elusive time abundance that we all crave. They emphasize the power of time blocking, which involves allocating specific blocks of time to particular tasks or activities.
I'm a big fan of time blocking. It helps me stay focused and prevents me from getting sidetracked by those endless distractions.
It's like creating a roadmap for your day, ensuring that you're dedicating time to the things that truly matter.
I couldn't agree more. What other time management gems did they share?
They advocate for prioritizing tasks based on their importance and urgency, creating a daily list of most important things to tackle first when our energy and willpower are at their peak.
That's a great strategy. It ensures that we're making progress on those tasks that truly move the needle.
And of course, they mentioned the Pomodoro technique, which we discussed earlier.
Ah, yes, the 25-minute work sprints followed by 5-minute breaks. I'm definitely going to incorporate that into my workflow.
Those short breaks can make a remarkable difference in our ability to sustain focus over extended periods.
Now, one of the biggest challenges I face when it comes to productivity is managing those constant distractions, especially in today's hyper-connected world. What strategies did they offer for navigating this digital landscape and reclaiming our focus?
They recommend turning off notifications, silencing our phones, and even establishing tech-free zones in our homes or workspaces.
It's about creating those boundaries that protect our time and attention.
Exactly. And they also emphasize the importance of learning to say no to requests that don't align with our priorities.
I'm trying to get better at saying no, but it can be tough, especially when you don't want to disappoint others.
They provide some helpful scripts for declining requests politely but firmly without feeling guilty or obligated.
That's great. I'll have to check those out. It's a valuable skill for protecting our time and energy. Now, it's clear that our mindset plays a crucial role in shaping our experiences and influencing our outcomes.
Absolutely. They delve into the importance of cultivating a positive mindset for success, emphasizing the power of visualization, affirmations, and adopting a growth mindset.
I'm a big believer of the power of mindset. What specific strategies do they recommend for nurturing a more positive and growth-oriented outlook?
They encourage us to replace those limiting beliefs with empowering ones, focusing on our strengths and celebrating our progress along the way.
It's about shifting our internal dialogue and creating a more supportive and encouraging inner landscape.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our thoughts and beliefs have a powerful impact on our actions and ultimately our results.
Now, we can't talk about maximizing our day without addressing the importance of making time for fun and personal fulfillment. After all, productivity isn't just about work. It's about creating a life that we love.
Couldn't agree more. The book eloquently reminds us that a well-rounded life includes not just work and responsibilities, but also those activities that bring us joy, connection, and a sense of purpose.
I love that they dedicate an entire section to this aspect. It's a reminder that life is meant to be savored, not just endured.
They encourage us to find that balance between work and life, carving out time for activities that nourish our souls and bring us happiness.
That's a powerful message, especially in today's always-on culture, where it can be so challenging to disconnect and recharge.
They offer practical tips for creating tech-free zones, setting boundaries with work, and prioritizing self-care.
It's about being intentional with our time and energy, ensuring that we're not just going through the motions, but actively creating a life that aligns with our values and aspirations.
Exactly. They emphasize that disconnecting from work allows us to return to it with renewed energy, perspective, and creativity.
I love that. It's about recognizing that rest and rejuvenation are essential for both our well-being and our productivity.
Now, to really bring these principles to life, the book concludes with a fascinating section showcasing 4 sample daily routines from individuals representing diverse walks of life.
I found those real-life examples incredibly inspiring. It's helpful to see how other people structure their days to achieve their goals, prioritize well-being, and create lives that are both productive and fulfilling.
The first profile features Tanya Seitz, a stay-at-home mother, who shares her strategies for managing the demands of family life while also nurturing her own passions.
I loved hearing about Tanya's approach to creating a structured yet flexible routine that works for her and her family. Her emphasis on self-care amidst the chaos of motherhood is inspiring.
Next, we have Miss Kristen Pedersen, a musician, whose profile highlights the importance of discipline and routine in fueling her creative process.
Her insights on protecting creative time, setting boundaries, and establishing rituals that support her artistic expression were truly fascinating. It's a reminder that we can design our routines to support our unique needs and passions.
The third profile features Sarah DeWitt, a 9-to-5 worker who offers practical strategies for optimizing her workday, managing stress, and creating a fulfilling life outside of work.
I loved Sarah's emphasis on setting boundaries with work and prioritizing self-care. It's a reminder that we don't have to sacrifice our well-being for the sake of our careers.
And finally, we get a glimpse into the daily routine of Steve Scott himself, an entrepreneur who embodies the principles outlined in the book.
His commitment to time management, goal setting, and habit formation is truly inspiring.
These real-life examples demonstrate that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to maximizing our day. It's about finding what works best for us as individuals.
Now, before we wrap up this segment of our deep dive into Level Up Your Day, I think it would be helpful to revisit those key takeaways and distill them into a concise 10-point summary.
I agree. A 10-point summary would provide our listeners with a practical roadmap for implementing these strategies in their own lives.
Perfect. I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's dive into those 10 essential takeaways to empower our listeners to level up their own lives. First and foremost, focus on maximizing your day across those 6 essential areas we discussed: sleep, morning routines, energy renewal, eating, exercise, routine activities, productivity, and fun.
It's about being intentional with our time and energy, seeking to optimize each of these areas for a more balanced and fulfilling life.
Next, we must understand the psychology of habits, particularly those concepts we explored: decision fatigue, ego depletion, and cognitive load.
It's about recognizing how these psychological factors can influence our choices and behaviors and taking steps to mitigate their negative effects.
Now let's move on to some practical tips. Prioritize getting enough sleep and create a consistent sleep schedule to boost your physical and mental energy.
No more weekend sleep marathons for me.
That's the spirit. Consistency is key for regulating our internal clocks and ensuring restorative sleep.
What other practical strategies did we uncover?
Remember to build energizing habits into your morning routine and find ways to renew your energy throughout the day.
I'm excited to try the Pomodoro technique for those much-needed breaks. It seems like such a simple yet effective way to prevent mental fatigue and maintain focus.
It truly is. Those short breaks can make a world of difference. Now, on to healthy eating habits. Plan your meals in advance to make those nutritious choices easier and reduce decision fatigue when hunger strikes.
I'm definitely going to try those mason jar salads you mentioned. They sound like a brilliant way to ensure fresh and appealing salads throughout the week.
They're a game changer. Now, let's not forget physical well-being. Incorporate movement into your daily routine, even if it's not a dedicated workout. Remember the woman who lost 200 pounds by simply integrating walking breaks into her work schedule.
Her story is truly inspiring. It highlights that small, consistent actions can create remarkable results.
Absolutely. It's not about striving for perfection, but rather finding ways to move our bodies that we genuinely enjoy.
And when it comes to those pesky routine activities, remember to declutter your home environment and create lists to streamline those tasks and reduce mental clutter. Steve's dad's FSD list is a great example of how to manage household essentials efficiently.
It's a game changer for simplifying household management.
Now let's shift gears to work productivity. Analyze your energy levels and schedule tasks accordingly to optimize your work output.
Remember Steve Scott's technique of assigning an energy level rating to each task.
That's a brilliant strategy for aligning our work schedule with our natural energy patterns.
Next, prioritize your most important tasks, perhaps using a daily list of most important things, and let go of that need to do everything.
Focus on what truly matters.
Exactly. And finally, make time for fun. Pursue activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Remember, productivity isn't an end in itself. It's about creating a life that is both productive and fulfilling.
That's a beautiful reminder to prioritize those activities that nourish our souls and bring us joy.
I believe we've covered all 10 points.
Wow, that was a comprehensive overview of Level Up Your Day. I feel equipped with a toolkit of practical strategies to enhance my daily routines and create a more fulfilling life.
It's been a pleasure exploring these insights with you. I'm eager to hear your reflections on the book's wisdom.
What resonated most with me is the author's emphasis on the interconnectedness of our actions and our well-being. It's not just about checking things off a list, but rather understanding how each element of our routine contributes to our overall quality of life.
It's a holistic perspective that recognizes the ripple effects of our choices. And speaking of interconnectedness, I found their discussion of how routines can benefit not only us, but also our children and pets fascinating.
Oh yes, they made a compelling case for why kids and pets thrive under structured schedules.
They argue that consistency and predictability foster a sense of security and well-being for both children and animals.
I can definitely see how that would be true. Routines provide a sense of stability and order, which can be especially beneficial for young children and pets who are still learning about the world.
They even shared a delightful anecdote about Rebecca's rat terrier, Jake, who, let's just say, has a penchant for overindulging.
Oh, I love a good dog story.
Mhm.
Tell me more about Jake's culinary adventures.
Well, Jake has quite the appetite. But by establishing consistent meal times, Rebecca was able to help him regulate his food intake and maintain a healthy weight.
That's a heartwarming example of how routine can benefit not just ourselves, but also our beloved companions.
It's a testament to the power of structure and predictability in creating a harmonious environment for everyone in the household.
Now, I'm eager to delve a bit deeper into the book's strategies for maximizing productivity in our work lives.
They offer a treasure trove of practical advice ranging from time management techniques to mindset shifts.
I'm all ears. What specific strategies stood out to you?
One that particularly resonated with me was the concept of analyzing our energy levels throughout the day and scheduling tasks accordingly.
Ah, yes. They refer to this as assigning an energy level rating to each task, right?
Precisely. The idea is to identify those times when we're naturally more energized and focused and reserve those periods for our most demanding tasks.
And conversely, to schedule less mentally taxing activities during those times when our energy naturally dips.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not harder, by aligning our work schedules with our natural energy rhythms.
I love that approach. It makes perfect sense. Are there specific tools or methods they recommend for implementing this?
They suggest keeping a log of your energy levels throughout the day to pinpoint those peak productivity windows.
So it's about becoming more aware of our own individual energy patterns and using that knowledge to our advantage.
Precisely. By becoming more attuned to our natural rhythms, we can optimize our work schedules for peak performance.
That's brilliant. What other insights did they offer in terms of maximizing our work output?
They highlighted the importance of letting go of outcome attachment, which can be a profound mindset shift.
We touched on outcome attachment earlier, but I'd love to hear more about what it entails and how it relates to productivity.
It involves detaching from fixating on specific outcomes and instead immersing ourselves in the process of doing the work.
So it's about shifting our focus from the destination to the journey itself.
Exactly. By releasing the need to control every aspect of our work and surrendering to the flow of the process, we often unlock greater creativity and productivity.
That resonates with me. I often get so caught up in striving for perfection that I end up hindering my own progress.
The book encourages us to embrace a growth mindset, viewing challenges as opportunities for learning and development rather than obstacles to be feared.
It's about embracing imperfection and recognizing that mistakes are simply part of the learning process.
Precisely. Now, let's shift our attention to some practical time management strategies for achieving that elusive time abundance. They delve into the power of time blocking, a technique that involves allocating specific blocks of time to particular tasks or activities.
I'm a big proponent of time blocking. It's been a game changer for my productivity.
It's like creating a roadmap for your day, ensuring that you're dedicating sufficient time to those activities that align with your goals and priorities.
I love that analogy. It helps to visualize how we're structuring our time. What other time management gems do they offer?
They advocate for prioritizing tasks based on their importance and urgency. Creating a daily list of most important things to tackle first when our energy and willpower are highest is a powerful strategy.
That makes perfect sense. We're often most alert and focused in the morning. So it makes sense to capitalize on that peak energy time by tackling our most challenging tasks.
And of course, they mentioned the Pomodoro technique, which we discussed earlier.
Ah, yes. The 25-minute work sprints, followed by 5-minute breaks. I'm definitely going to incorporate that into my workflow.
Those short breaks can do wonders for our concentration and productivity.
And one of the biggest challenges I face in maintaining productivity is managing those constant distractions, especially in today's digital age.
They address that challenge head on, offering practical strategies for reclaiming our focus in this hyper-connected world.
On all ears.
They recommend turning off those incessant notifications, silencing our phones, and creating designated tech-free zones.
It's about creating those boundaries that protect our time and attention from the constant barrage of digital distractions.
Precisely. And they also emphasize the importance of learning to say no to requests that don't align with our priorities.
Mastering the art of saying no is definitely a skill I'm still working on. It can be challenging to decline requests, especially when we don't want to disappoint others or appear unhelpful.
They offer some helpful scripts for gracefully declining requests without feeling guilty or obligated.
I'll definitely have to check those out. It's a valuable skill for protecting our time and energy so we can focus on what truly matters. Now, it's clear that our mindset plays a crucial role in shaping our experiences and influencing our outcomes. They delve into the importance of cultivating a positive mindset for success.
Absolutely. They emphasize the power of visualization, affirmations, and adopting a growth mindset.
I'm a firm believer in the power of mindset. What specific strategies do they recommend for nurturing a more positive and growth-oriented outlook?
They encourage us to replace those limiting beliefs with empowering ones. focusing on our strengths and celebrating our progress along the way.
It's about cultivating that inner cheerleader, that voice of encouragement that helps us stay motivated and resilient in the face of challenges.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our thoughts and beliefs have a powerful impact on our actions and ultimately our results.
Now, we can't talk about maximizing our day without addressing the importance of making time for fun and personal fulfillment.
Absolutely. Productivity isn't just about work, it's about creating a life that we love, a life that feels rich and meaningful.
I'm so glad they dedicate an entire section to this crucial aspect. It's a reminder that life is meant to be savored, not just endured.
They encourage us to find that delicate balance between work and life, carving out time for activities that nourish our souls and bring us joy.
That's a powerful message, especially in today's always-on culture, where it can be so challenging to truly disconnect and recharge.
They offer practical tips for creating tech-free zones, setting boundaries with work, and prioritizing self-care.
It's about being intentional with our time and
Energy, ensuring that we're not just going through the motions, but actively creating a life that aligns with our values and aspirations.
exactly. They emphasize that disconnecting from work allows us to return to it with renewed energy, perspective, and creativity.
I love that. It's about recognizing that rest and rejuvenation are essential for both our well-being and our productivity.
Now, to really bring these principles to life, the book concludes with a fascinating section showcasing 4 sample daily routines from individuals representing diverse walks of life.
It's so helpful to see those real-life examples and how others structure their days to achieve their goals, prioritize well-being, and create lives that are both productive and fulfilling.
I was especially drawn to the profile of Tanya Seitz, a stay-at-home mom.
Me too. Her approach to creating a structured yet flexible routine that works for her and her family is truly inspiring.
Her emphasis on self-care amidst the chaos of motherhood is a great reminder for all of us.
Absolutely. And then there's this Kristen Pedersen, a musician whose profile highlights the importance of discipline and routine for fueling her creative process.
Her insights on protecting creative time, setting boundaries, and establishing rituals that support her artistic expression were fascinating.
It's a great reminder that we can design our routines to support our unique needs and passions.
The third profile features Sarah DeWitt, a 9-to-5 worker who offers practical strategies for optimizing her workday, managing stress, and creating a fulfilling life outside of work.
I love how she emphasizes the importance of setting boundaries with work and prioritizing self-care.
It's a good reminder that we don't have to sacrifice our well-being for the sake of our careers.
And finally, we have Steve Scott himself, an entrepreneur who embodies the principles he outlines in the book.
His commitment to time management, goal setting, and habit formation is incredibly inspiring.
All of these real-life examples really drive home the point that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to maximizing our day.
It's about finding what works best for us as individuals.
Before we move on, I'd love to circle back to the book's discussion on how routines can impact not only us, but also our children and pets.
Oh yes, they made a compelling argument for why kids and pets thrive under structured schedules.
They suggest that consistency and predictability foster a sense of security and well-being.
It makes sense when you think about it. Routines provide a sense of stability and order.
Exactly. And it can be especially beneficial for young children and pets who are still learning about the world.
They even shared that cute anecdote about Rebecca's rat terrier, Jake.
Oh, Jake. He's quite the character.
Apparently he has a bit of a sweet tooth, or should I say a sweet snout.
He has quite the appetite. But by establishing consistent meal times, Rebecca was able to help him regulate his food intake.
It's heartwarming to see how those principles can benefit not just ourselves, but also our furry companions.
It's a testament to the power of routine in creating a harmonious environment for everyone in the household.
Now, I'm curious to hear more about their strategies for maximizing productivity in our work lives.
There's a lot to unpack there. One strategy that stood out to me was the concept of analyzing our energy levels throughout the day.
And scheduling tasks accordingly.
Exactly. It's all about working smarter, not harder.
They call it assigning an energy level rating to each task, right?
That's right. The idea is to pinpoint those times when we're naturally more energized and focused.
And save those periods for our most demanding tasks.
Precisely. And during those natural lulls in our energy, we can tackle less mentally taxing activities.
I love how it emphasizes working with our natural rhythms instead of fighting against them.
It's about maximizing our productivity by capitalizing on those peak performance windows.
I'm curious, what practical tips do they offer for implementing this?
They suggest keeping a log of your energy levels throughout the day.
To track those peaks and valleys.
Precisely. It's a simple but effective way to gain insights into your personal energy patterns.
It's like becoming a scientist of your own productivity.
Exactly. And then you can use that data to structure your workday in a way that optimizes your output.
I'm definitely going to give that a try. What other strategies did they suggest for boosting productivity?
They also emphasize the importance of letting go of outcome attachment.
We talked about that a bit earlier, but could you remind us what it means?
It's about detaching from fixating on specific outcomes and instead immersing ourselves in the process of doing the work.
So it's about shifting our focus from the end result to the journey itself.
Exactly. And often, by releasing that need to control every aspect of the outcome,
We can actually unlock greater creativity and productivity.
they encourage us to embrace a growth mindset,
Which means,
viewing challenges as opportunities for learning and development.
rather than obstacles or setbacks.
Precisely. It's about reframing our perspective and seeing those challenges as stepping stones on our path to growth.
Now, I'm curious to hear more about their time management strategies.
They had a lot of great tips in that area. One that they emphasized was time blocking.
Ah, yes, a classic productivity technique.
It's all about allocating specific blocks of time to particular tasks or activities.
It's like creating a schedule for your day.
Exactly. And by sticking to that schedule, we can ensure that we're making time for those activities that are most important to us.
I've found time blocking to be incredibly helpful in managing my workload and staying on track.
They also suggest prioritizing tasks based on their importance and urgency.
So we can focus our energy on those tasks that truly move the needle.
They recommend creating a daily list of most important things to tackle first thing in the morning.
When our energy and willpower are at their peak.
Precisely. And of course, they mentioned the Pomodoro technique.
Ah, yes. Those 25-minute work sprints followed by a 5-minute break.
It's a simple but powerful technique for maintaining focus and preventing burnout.
I've experimented with it, and it's surprisingly effective.
Now, let's not forget about the challenge of managing distractions in today's digital age.
That's a big one. It seems like there's always something vying for our attention.
They offer a number of helpful strategies for reclaiming our focus and minimizing those distractions.
Like,
Turning off notifications, silencing our phones, and even designating tech-free zones.
it's all about creating boundaries and protecting our time and attention.
And they emphasize the importance of learning to say no to requests that don't align with our priorities.
Saying no can be tough, but it's essential for preserving our time and energy.
They provide some helpful scripts for politely but firmly declining requests without feeling guilty.
Which is super helpful because sometimes it's hard to know what to say. Now, I'd love to shift gears and talk about their emphasis on cultivating a positive mindset.
They make a compelling case for the power of our thoughts and beliefs in shaping our experiences.
They highlight the importance of visualization, affirmations, and adopting a growth mindset.
It's all about shifting our internal dialogue and creating a more supportive inner landscape.
I love that. Our thoughts are so powerful, and by cultivating a more positive mindset,
We can empower ourselves to overcome challenges and achieve our goals.
it's about focusing on our strengths, celebrating our progress, and embracing a belief in our ability to learn and grow.
Now let's move on to a topic that's close to my heart, making time for fun and personal fulfillment.
They dedicate an entire section of the book to this, which I think is fantastic.
It's a reminder that productivity isn't just about work,
It's about creating a life that we love.
a life that's rich with meaning, connection, and joy.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life.
And forget to prioritize those activities that bring us joy and nourish our souls.
They encourage us to find that balance between work and life.
And to carve out time for those activities that light us up.
What are some of the specific suggestions they offer for incorporating more fun and fulfillment into our lives?
They talk about the importance of exploring our passions, pursuing hobbies, spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones, and simply allowing ourselves to relax and recharge.
It's about being intentional with our time and making space for those activities that truly make us feel alive.
And in today's always-on culture, it's more important than ever to create those boundaries and protect our personal time.
They offer some great tips for establishing tech-free zones and setting limits on work-related activities outside of work hours.
It's about disconnecting from the digital world and reconnecting with ourselves and those we love. It's about creating space for those things that bring us joy, energy, and inspiration.
I love that. It's about designing a life that feels aligned with our authentic selves.
And remember, it's not about adding more to our already full plates. It's about being mindful of how we're spending our time and energy and making conscious choices that support our well-being.
It's about creating a life that feels both productive and fulfilling, a life that we truly enjoy living. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into Level Up Your Day, let's circle back to those key takeaways and offer our listeners a concise 10-point summary.
Great idea. A 10-point summary would provide a practical roadmap for implementing these strategies.
All right, let's distill the essence of the book's wisdom into those 10 essential points.
First and foremost, focus on maximizing your day across those 6 essential areas: sleep, morning routine, energy renewal, eating, exercise, routine activities, productivity, and fun.
It's about approaching each of these areas with intentionality and seeking those small but impactful improvements that can enhance our overall well-being.
Next, understand the psychology of habits, particularly those concepts we've been discussing: decision fatigue, ego depletion, and cognitive load.
It's about recognizing how these psychological factors can subtly influence our choices and behaviors.
And taking steps to mitigate their negative effects.
Exactly. Now for some practical tips. Prioritize getting enough sleep and establish a consistent sleep schedule.
Remember, consistency is key for regulating our internal clocks and ensuring we wake up feeling refreshed and energized.
No more weekend sleep marathons for me. Now what about those midday slumps? How can we maintain energy and focus throughout the day?
Build energizing habits into your morning routine and find ways to renew your energy throughout the day.
I'm definitely going to try the Pomodoro technique for those much-needed breaks.
Those short breaks can make a world of difference. Now, on to healthy eating habits. Plan your meals in advance.
It's about setting ourselves up for success by making those healthy choices easier and more accessible.
And don't forget about those mason jar salads.
Those are a must-try. Now let's talk movement. Incorporate movement into your daily routine, even if it's not a dedicated workout.
Remember the inspiring story of the woman who lost 200 pounds by simply integrating walking breaks into her workday?
Small, consistent actions can lead to incredible results. What about those dreaded routine activities?
Declutter your home environment and create lists to streamline those tasks. Steve's dad's FSD list is a great example.
I'm a big fan of the FST list. Now let's shift gears to work productivity. Analyze your energy levels and schedule tasks accordingly to optimize your output.
Remember Steve Scott's technique of assigning an energy level rating to each task.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Next, prioritize your most important tasks and let go of that need to do everything.
Focus on what truly moves the needle.
And finally, make time for fun. Pursue those activities that bring you joy and fulfillment.
It's about creating a life that feels both productive and deeply meaningful.
I believe we've covered all 10 points.
Wow, that was a comprehensive overview of Level Up Your Day. It's been an incredibly insightful exploration of strategies for maximizing our days and creating lives that are both productive and fulfilling. I feel truly inspired to apply these principles and see what positive changes I can create in my own life.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's been a joy exploring these concepts with you and sharing them with our listeners.
I want to extend a huge thank you to Steve Scott and Rebecca Livermore for sharing their wisdom in Level Up Your Day. It's a valuable resource for anyone seeking practical guidance on enhancing their daily routines and creating a life that feels aligned with their values and aspirations.
I wholeheartedly agree. Their insights offer a refreshing perspective on productivity and well-being, encouraging us to approach our lives with intentionality, mindfulness, and a healthy dose of self-compassion.
And to our amazing listeners, we encourage you to embark on your journey of leveling up your day. Experiment with the strategies we've discussed. Find what resonates with you. And remember that small, consistent actions can lead to extraordinary results.
Embrace the journey, celebrate your progress, and never underestimate the transformative power of small steps taken consistently over time.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Level Up Your Day. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.